We have to really start talking about the issues that are affecting us. Not only as black men, but as black people. We know the biggest deterrent from getting a good education is being hungry. Let's address the food insecurities in the communities that we serve. When we talk about AI, the least educated community is currently the black community. You're a father, you're a friend, you're a fraternity brother, you're a parent. But what happens is that we don't create boundaries for ourselves. And from a local level, we've got to make sure that brothers are running for Board of Ed. The day-to-day happens at the local level. I believe that we as a fraternity are the training ground for the next set of leaders in our community. And that's what the Andrew Young Social Justice Institute that we're implementing is going to do. It's going to train brothers about being the next advocates for the communities that we're in. But most importantly, don't think the issue's too big for you. You've got a brother to help you out with it.
Power of brotherhood. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, good evening, brothers, friends, community partners. Welcome to another episode of the XAL for Lambda Community Profiles Podcast. Today, it is truly an honor and a privilege to have our very special guest here, the 37th General President of our dear Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Brother Lucien J. Metellus.
Brother Williams, good to see you again.
Good to see you again, Brother Metellus. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good to see the brothers of XAL Alpha Lambda as usual.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you. And Brother Metellus, by the way, is here today to join us for our annual Ira Dorsey Scholarship Endowment Fund for the first gala here, to support and raise scholarship funds for our students today, raising over $100,000 and looking to do even more in our community. So thank you again for joining us.
No, thank you. Thank you.
What does Alpha Phi Alpha mean to you today? And how has your understanding of the brotherhood evolved over the period of time since you've been in the fraternity?
So I was initiated in 1998, in the spring of 1998, through the Zeta Zeta Lambda chapter out in Queens, New York. I would say a couple of things. My perspective on the brotherhood has changed more in the sense of how big it is. Mm-hmm. When you first come into fraternity, you don't necessarily have that global understanding. You understand the fraternity wherever you're at, whether it's your college campus or your alumni community. But when you spread out and you see that Alpha Phi Alpha has influence globally, Alpha Phi Alpha has influence with presidents of nations. We have a president of Bermuda. The prime minister of Bermuda is a brother. Brothers in Ghana in leadership. Brothers, right? Mm-hmm. So you have brothers in leadership everywhere from the halls of Congress, right? We have Senator Raphael Warnock, brothers that you meet in all spaces. But then you have the brothers in your communities, like the XAL Alpha Lambda chapter, where they're actually impacting the day-to-day lives of, because I always tell brothers, the impact that we have is at the chapter level. It's not necessarily we think of it as an international organization, but the real impact we have is at the very much the chapter level. The things that you're doing with Ira Dorsey scholarship funds, that's really impact, right? And so my perspectives have grown more about the brotherhood in the sense of this is where the real work is done. From an organizational standpoint, yes, we organize, we put policies in place, and we push the national programs. Go to high school, go to college, which is our oldest educational component for young high school students. And then we have a Voteless People is a Hopeless People, which is our civic advocacy arm. And we have Project Alpha, which is our male development and male sexual education component. And then we also have our Brother's Keeper, which is about taking care of each other and taking care of our spouses. And as we pass in this life, someone will need to look out for our families, right? But when you think about those things, that's how we've become a service-oriented fraternity. But at the end of the day, when you talk about the brotherhood component, it's really the relationships that we have that really help promote those at the chapter level. So I would say that the way I've grown is, even though I've seen it bigger, it's actually pretty simple. It happens right at the chapter level. And if brothers are doing the work at the chapter levels, we're having real impact on the communities.
Wonderful. And I love the piece where you talked about service oriented. We're always trying to convey that message to the community that we're not a social org, but more so community service based. So that always seems to bring it home to some of our community partners that are trying to understand what is our purpose. So I love that.
And the thing that most people and most brothers don't even realize is that immediately after the fraternity was founded on December 4th, 1906, the next thing those new members of the fraternity did was community service at a church in Ithaca, New York. So that with less than 3 days later. So if you go up to Ithaca, you'll see the historical church there that we did work from. So we've been that way since day one.
Amazing. And by the way, fall 18 Xi Alpha Lambda, we had the pleasure of going up to Ithaca and actually seeing the area and the space and stuff like that in Torrance Cornell. So definitely a historic site. I mean, just leading up to Ithaca,
Mhm.
just the mountains and the scenery and everything else. Just imagining how those brothers, were able to put this amazing fraternity together is impressive. So
Indeed.
I know this summer, a few months back or so, we dealt with some issues regarding mental health, right? A brother right
Right.
here in this chapter. No need to dig into it, but just it really brought back to the forefront how important it is for Black men to deal with our mental health and just men in general in the community, right? To deal with those issues. So considering mental health is an increasingly important issue, especially for Black men, what role can Alpha Phi Alpha play in mental health, maintaining the mental health of the brothers in the communities that we serve?
So recently, as general president, we signed a agreement with the JED Foundation, which specializes in mental health services. And so what we've done is we've increased our capacity to provide external services to our brothers around mental health.
Mhm.
If you know me personally, you know mental health is a big passion of mine, especially for Black men. One of my closest brothers passed away from suicide,
Oh,
and
sorry to hear. Sorry to hear.
had I had the ability to identify,
Mhm.
right, and not just take it as him being different, I would have been able, maybe not guaranteeing, but maybe I would have been able to help move him away
Right.
from that, right? And I think that we've got to, part of that too is we're going to start rolling out training for our alpha advisors
Mhm.
about for our college brothers on looking for the signs of mental health challenges, not to intervene, but to identify and then refer them to the services that they need. We're also going to roll out, hopefully hopefully starting in September 1st, opportunities for brothers to get 2 to 3 free mental health initiative services, as long as you're a brother is a duly initiated brother fraternity, whether you're active or inactive. We want you to make sure that brothers are able to be taken care of in those spaces. And so that's the way we're going to deal with dealing it with externally. We need to start sharing our stories. We need to be
Indeed.
especially as Black men, we don't share our stories enough about the things that we're going through. I go through a lot of stressors. You go through a lot of
Yes. Oh,
stressors,
yes.
but we've been conditioned to paint ourselves as supermen.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I think one thing I heard recently on another podcast is that
Mhm.
we are not given the grace to be human.
Oh,
Right.
amen.
And so
Amen.
when we are
Yes.
going through things, we don't want to call a brother because we don't want to say, hey, brother, I need help. Right. Or when there's a lot of stresses going on in our lives, we haven't been taught to create boundaries for other people, right? Because you're a father, you're a friend, you're a fraternity brother, you're a parent, you're a husband, all these things, you're a godparent, all these things. Tomorrow's Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the
Happy
brothers
Father's Day to you
out there.
too.
So,
Yes,
but
sir.
what happens is that we don't create boundaries for ourselves. We
Yes.
allow everyone to
Yes.
take from us.
Mhm.
And then if we put some kind of barrier on there, it's received as us being difficult. So what I want us to do is normalize for others outside of fraternity as well, by being examples of it, being vulnerable and open to creating boundaries for people. Because like I said, I struggle with that. I get phone calls all the time, and
Yeah.
people are really bombarding my mental health,
Mhm.
and I still have to learn how to create those boundaries.
Mhm.
So that's always a challenge, but I think that as Black men especially, we have to be willing to be vulnerable, non-judgmental, and give each other space to give each other boundaries.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you brought up the thing about just being human, right? And then I think this kind of goes back to some of the post-traumatic slavery disorder stuff,
Right.
right? It's almost like we've been considered a little bit inhumane,
Mhm.
so emotionless. So things that would normally, you even find this at work, right? Things
Right.
that people would normally have consideration for in others, they don't have in us.
They don't have for us. They
Yes.
look at and even in the way that we're treated with our physical medical health.
Yes.
Right. As
Very
men
true.
and women, Black men and Black women, we're deep. Our physicians are programmed indirectly to consider
Yes.
that we can tolerate pain more. That police look at us. We're larger than we actually are. Right. So
Yes.
those are the kinds of things that we're not only fighting institutionally, we're fighting 500 years of slavery
Mm.
in the society. I'm talking about pre-colonial America. This has been a thing since before pre-colonial America. So we really have to lock in and be clear about and identify it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really important. Yeah, to help, and I love the programs. I like the ideas about, rolling out the resources and the support, especially for our college brothers, because
Right.
that's a critical time where they're learning how to pick up on healthy habits.
Right.
And as you know, a lot of our students, we sent our first child to college, right? So
Right.
checking on the mental health in that first year, right? During the freshman year, I think sometimes we call it freshman 15, right?
Right.
Kids go to kids.
Get 15 pounds.
Right. In your opinion, what unique value does our fraternity and our brothers bring to our campuses and communities, and why should organizations seek out opportunities to partner with us?
So here's the thing. What's unique about the fraternity is the brothers.
Mm.
You find excellence in every activity, every service, you find academic excellence on the campuses. You find leaders on our campuses, student government presidents, homecoming presidents, different things of that nature. But you also find experts in the field of science, technology, yourself included.
Mhm.
And I think that that's the best asset that we have is the brothers. So when you're looking to partner with an organization that's strategically focused on our mission statement, which is Alpha Phi Alpha develops leaders, promotes brotherhood and academic excellence while providing service and advocacy for our communities, everything is an offshoot of that, right? And so what we have to offer, if I'm a community organization and I've got an opportunity to do something around voter empowerment,
Mhm.
that's service and advocacy to our community. That's definitely falling in line with Alpha Phi Alpha. We may not be able to endorse candidates, but there are policies out there that matter to us, right? We have to really start talking about the issues that are affecting us. Not only is Black men, but it's Black people, or the over policing of our people, right?
Mhm. Very
So
true.
if you want to partner with an organization that's focused on the over policing of Black and brown bodies,
Mhm.
reach out to Alpha Phi Alpha. If
Mhm.
you want to focus on fighting voter suppression, Alpha Phi Alpha is there. If you're interested in having a mentor for your young boy or sometimes even your young girl, and I think that this is we always want to be careful about the way we talk about mentoring, because we also have to understand that young girls are looking at us too.
Yes.
So
Very
we may not be a mentor in the classic sense, but they're looking at us and saying, what are some examples of good manhood,
Mhm.
right? Because that's how they're going to integrate into relationships with men. And I think a lot of times what I see on social media is not that good integration of relationships
Not at
between
all.
Black people, right?
Not at
And so
all.
I want to make sure that we're, as a fraternity, if you're looking for examples of manhood, Alpha Phi Alpha is the place to go. When you're really looking around those developments and those partnerships and community opportunities and even scholarship what we're doing tonight.
Right.
Alpha Phi Alpha is your partner to go to. I believe that each city and each campus is a center of excellence wherever Alpha Phi Alpha is.
And I always think about it whenever I'm in my travels outside of Alpha. I always think about when you have your stereotype, automatically in my head I said, just come to a gala.
Right.
Come to a gala. Watch the presentation of all of our chapters, the impact in their communities. You'll find it all in the gala. Just come out.
Right.
Come out, swing by a convention, swing by one of our public service events, right?
Right.
And you can kind of see what we're all about, right? The intellectual body and the knowledge that these brothers contain here. So amazing resources. So thank you for that. As you know, many communities here, especially for those in the DMV, they're facing challenges such as food insecurity, job insecurities, and a looming economic uncertainty, especially with the ongoing war and rising gas prices. What role do you feel Alpha Phi Alpha can play within creating meaningful opportunities for those people in communities that we serve?
So in terms of the ongoing war, there's not much we can do
Mhm.
because of that's really the administration. But
Mhm.
what we can do on a very community level is like I talked about before, the chapters. If
Mhm.
there's food insecurity, what are we creating to help alleviate some of those food insecurities?
Right.
I was talking to my wife today. The key component actually of middle school, grade school, and high school is, are they receiving 3 square meals a day,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Can we provide, because the schools in general, and I'm very comfortable saying that, and the schools in
Mhm.
general provide lunch, right?
Mhm.
But what's happening between after school ends
Yes.
and when they come back to school?
Mhm.
The chapters can assist with other D9 organizations in filling that gap,
Mhm.
right? The other fraternities and sororities of the Divine Nine, we need to make sure that we're addressing food insecurity amongst people in our communities, because if we want people to go to college, we know the biggest deterrent from getting a good education is being hungry
Yes.
and lack of rest, right?
Yes.
It's not necessarily the textbooks. It's not necessarily the the technology access. It's really, can I focus if I'm hungry? Can I focus if I'm not getting enough rest? So we as a fraternity, and I would challenge fraternities and sororities, let's address the food insecurities in the communities that we serve, especially around the young people. And when you help the food insecurity of young people, you're touching the whole family, right? And so we need to be intentional about wherever we're doing a mentoring program, are we asking about food insecurity with those young people that we're working with? Because we just assume when they leave our presence that they are not food insecure. But then we also have to look, and then we also have to educate them about programs that are available. The state of Virginia has programs available around food insecurity, but most people don't know about them because we're not promoting them. So we also need to do that. So those are the ways that we can address that. But I think that if we really want to address education, food insecurity is really going to be a big component of that.
A few days ago, we went by a local food bank and, partnering with one of our local AKA chapters to just go by and just receive a tour, right?
Right.
And also drop a donation off, but just to see the families that came in at the 7 o'clock hour just to get dinner, people that you wouldn't think would come by. So it's always humbling. Alphas, as we always know, we've always stood at the forefront of advocacy and community service, right? The greats, the, Dr. Kings, Thurgood Marshalls, even locally here, Marion Barry's, right? Always stood in the forefront of that. In today's political and social climate, how can local Alpha chapters best position themselves to positively impact communities they serve from that perspective, an advocacy perspective?
So I believe that we as a fraternity are the training ground for the next set of leaders in our community. So first, let's intentionally develop leaders that are going to be about social justice. And that's what the Andrew Young Social Justice Institute that we're implementing is going to do. It's going to train brothers about being the next advocates for the communities that we're in. Not necessarily run for political office, but understand the tools of social justice and implement them in the communities that we serve. Another thing that we've challenged the chapters to do is to meet with your local congressional representatives at least once a year. Tell them about our issues around the defunding of the Department of dismantling of the Department of Education.
Yes, sir.
There's no Alpha chapter college or alumni that should not be addressing that with their local congressional representative and their state senators. And from a local level, we've got to make sure that brothers are going to their Board of Ed meetings, right? We need to make sure that brothers are running for Board of Ed. We need to make sure that brothers are running for local office. I think a lot of times brothers and people in our communities in general get caught up with the 100 senators, the 435 members of Congress,
That's right.
the president and the vice president, but they actually are just the top of the funnel. The day-to-day happens at the local level, right? The government allocates funds. It doesn't necessarily go into detail of how those funds are used. That happens at the state level. That happens at the district level and the county levels, right?
City level.
City
Yes,
level.
sir.
So we need more people that have not even just brothers, but people that have the interest of serving their community versus self-service to help push that forward. So what can Alpha Phi Alpha do? Alpha Phi Alpha can also not only go to meet with your local representatives and congressmen, brothers and people that community run for office that have the interest of making sure that each individual, regardless of race, creed, gender, or sexual identity, have access to a free education. To a quality free education. Let me add that. Quality
safe. Yep.
Quality free, safe education. That we're making sure that people have economic opportunity. We need to talk about a livable wage. It's not, and I think it's always a controversial topic when you talk about livable wages, but what we're really talking about is that as long as we've seen our people in this country, we've never had a livable wage. We've always been lagging behind, and that's my intent, right? And so we need to address that as well. So I think that those are the opportunities we as a fraternity can really take up and really need to push forward. So those are the things that we can do. And if you ask me, I'm more excited about today. The only black governor today is an alpha man,
yes,
right?
Sir.
Governor Westmore, right?
Westmore, yes,
Governor
sir.
Westmore. How many black senators there are? There are 4, I believe, at this time. 4 or 5. One of them is an alpha man.
That's right.
Raphael Warnock, right?
Raphael Warnock, yes,
Out of all the D9, we have the most for today, even though we've had a horrible time with this redistricting across these states. As of today, the most congressionals out of the D9 males are alphas, right? And so we have, Gregory Meeks, we have Al Green. We have these leaders that we can look to
Bobby
today.
Scott down there in Virginia.
Bobby
Yeah.
Scott down in
Scott.
Virginia. We have
Yeah.
leaders today that we can look to, but we also need to make sure we're developing the next set of leaders.
Mhm.
We, for example, not choosing a political side. We have brothers running for congressional races in New York. We have brothers running for senator in the state of Mississippi. Right. So those are where alphas can be in doing the real work. So when we talk about King, I love King, I love Thurgood, but we need to talk about what the brothers are doing today. And those are what we really need to focus on, especially at the local level, but everywhere we see them doing the work.
Doing the work. No, I love that. There's a powerful statement that talks about how we have a tendency to be obsessed with the past and not with the future.
Yes, sir.
So just considering technology and how technology and AI is like literally reshaping society, how much of a position do you believe that Alpha Phi Alpha can play within these emerging technologies, and how do you think we can best use it to positively impact our goals in our communities?
So when we talk about AI, the least educated community is currently the Black community in terms of what the opportunities are in AI. I think that Alpha Phi Alpha needs, so a couple of things. We are in the process of developing an internal AI for the fraternity. So we're hoping, it's being tested right now. So of course, got to kick those bugs out, because it's not going to be open AI, because as I was conversing with a brother today, when you do open AI, you get what's out there, and it's not always accurate, right?
Always right.
And I think that we need to do a better job of managing what data we put out into the space. That's one, is a fraternity. Two, we need to make sure that as part of go to high school, go to college, that we're educating young people around the opportunities with AI. AI is a tool. It is not a solution. And now a lot of people are using it as a solution, meaning that instead of writing your own essay, I'll just put in the prompts and AI will write it for me, when there's value really in understanding what you're writing, right? I think that one thing that I do, perfect example, I write everything from scratch. Any speech I've ever given, any letter that I've ever written, still write it from scratch. Now, what I will do is I'll call, because I use Microsoft, as we were talking about, I'll call out Copilot to come clean this up for me, right? But it shouldn't write it for me, right? And I think that we need to start looking at it. How can we better leverage it for a tool for our communities? Is there economic opportunity within that for our communities? Is there economic justice in there for us as well? Is there opportunity to leverage AI in ways that helps improve the financial opportunities for our communities, whether it's through housing, whether it's through, we talked about food insecurity, right? So AI is a tool that's very available, but what we've tried to do is, in this current economy, which is actually, we've found situations where that's backfired, we're trying to replace the everyday worker with AI, and we're finding that there's a natural inquisition that it does not have, that the human spirit does, that we're able to identify, and it's not identifying. And it may one day, but today is not the day. And so we've got to train our people to use AI as a coder, but not to code everything.
That's right.
And so I think that from my perspective, that's how we need to work together with AI and make sure that we're teaching our young people about it.
Yeah, and I love what you said. It's a tool. It's a tool that, I like to look at it as a force multiplier.
Right.
Right. If you put garbage in there, it'll multiply garbage.
Right.
You put something good in there, it'll multiply it. So, yep. Looking back on your Alpha journey, what has been your most memorable moment, and why is it meaningful to you?
So we always remember the day we're initiated, right? That's probably the day that you never forget, the day you became a brother. But I think for me, it was being at the general convention and the brothers on the floor pushing back. Things don't change without pushback, right? And I want brothers always to provide pushback in the forms that they're supposed to happen. At the general convention, where the brothers are running the convention, they get to dictate what the direction of the fraternity. They need to push back. So it wasn't because it was my first convention as general president. What it really was every time I go to an Alpha convention, because I remember being on the floor, advocating and creating changes that I wanted to see from the floor. Now being general president, I'm praying that the brothers give me that same pushback that I gave leadership when I didn't have the title of general president. I want the brothers to own their organization because it's for them. And when they go to their district conferences, their regional conventions, their general conventions, that's when you see real change. It's not through social media posts. It's not through complaining. It's when you complain, but you do it on the floor and try to get the brothers to see where you're at. And I'm always an advocate for let the brothers speak, let the brothers say what they want, because every brother does have a right to an opinion. Where right or wrong, they have a right to that opinion, and we should support it. And that's the way we make real change. Perfect example. December 4th, 1906 would never happen if it wasn't for disagreement.
That's right.
Right? If it was, we need to be courageous enough to stand up and say, we want to go in a different direction. Leave it to the brothers to decide, and you'll see great things happen. But it has to be done within the house, because when it's not, it's just white noise.
They say follow the body, right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And we love it. And that closes out our questions here, Brother Metellus. Again, a man with a very long schedule, a busy personal family life.
I appreciate you having for me, brother. I really do. It means a lot, because a lot of times, I think that it goes back to something we said earlier, right? As a leader of an organization, whether it's at a chapter president level, or at a college, whether college or alumni, because I've done that, whether it's being an Alpha advisor, because I've done that, or being a general president, there's a lot of demands on us.
Oh, yes.
And so I want to just give you affirmation and appreciation for the work that you're doing in this community, because I know that there are times that no one's calling you, but they're talking about you.
That's right. That's right.
No one's calling you, but they're talking about you, right?
That's right.
No one ever calls to say, hey, good job, brother. So I want to say this publicly. Hey, good job, brother. Thank you. I appreciate what the Xi Alpha Lambda chapter and the Ira Dorsey Foundation is doing. I want to affirm everyone under the sound of my voice that no matter what you're going through, I'm your biggest cheerleader. I'm always going to be your biggest cheerleader, whether you're an alpha or not an alpha, because our people need more cheerleaders. So I just want to reaffirm Xi Alpha Lambda. I want you to hear me very clearly. You're doing a great job. I want alphas around the world to hear me. You're doing a great job. But most importantly, don't think the issue's too big for you. You've got a brother to help you out with it.
Thank you. The power of brotherhood. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, my brother.